Welcome. Let this be the only place you need to be tonight. Let your breath slow, let your shoulders drop, let the mattress hold all of your weight. There is nothing to solve here, nothing to remember. Just settle in and let the universe unfold above you, one quiet fact at a time. The universe contains an estimated 2 trillion galaxies. Each one holds its own rivers of stars, drifting in a darkness so vast it has no true edge. Astronomers arrived at this number by pointing deep space telescopes into what looked like empty patches of sky. What they found instead was light layered upon light, galaxy behind galaxy, farther than imagination usually travels. The Milky Way contains over 100 billion stars. Our galaxy is only one thread in that unimaginable tapestry of 2 trillion others. Each star in it burns quietly, some brighter than our sun, some dimmer, many wrapped in their own families of orbiting worlds. On a clear night, the band of light overhead is only a narrow slice of this enormous population. It has taken humankind generations of careful watching just to begin counting them. Astronomers have confirmed more than 5,000 exoplanets. These are worlds orbiting stars other than our own, discovered one by one through decades of patient observation. Some are scorched gas giants circling close to their suns. Others are icy and far-flung, drifting at the edges of their systems. Each confirmed planet was once just a flicker in starlight, studied for months or years before anyone dared call it real. Now the list grows steadily, a slow census of distant homes. The habitable zone is the region where liquid water can exist on a planet's surface. It is sometimes called the comfortable distance from a star, not so close that oceans boil away, not so far that they freeze solid. Earth sits gently within this band around our sun. Astronomers use this idea as a first gentle filter when searching among the stars for places that might resemble home. Kepler Space Telescope discovered thousands of exoplanet candidates. Launched to stare unblinking at a single patch of sky, it watched hundreds of thousands of stars for the tiniest dips in their light. Over 9 years, it noticed shadows passing that hinted at unseen worlds. Many of these candidates were later confirmed as real planets, transforming a small, quiet stretch of sky into one of the richest planetary neighborhoods ever mapped. TRAPPIST, one system hosts 7 rocky planets. They circle a small, dim red star far cooler than our sun, huddled closely together like a tight little family. Several of them sit within a range where temperatures could allow liquid water. From the surface of one, the neighboring planets might appear larger in the sky than our own moon does from Earth, hanging close enough to reveal faint markings. Proxima Centauri b orbits the nearest star to the sun. This small red star lies just over 4 light-years away, close by cosmic measure, though still unreachable by any craft we have built. Its planet sits within a possible habitable zone, though its star flares more violently than our sun ever does. It remains one of the most studied nearby worlds, a quiet candidate on the very doorstep of our solar neighborhood. Water has been detected in the atmospheres of several exoplanets. Using starlight that passes through a planet's thin outer air, astronomers can read faint chemical fingerprints hidden within it. Among those signatures, water vapor has appeared again and again on worlds far from our own. It is a small, familiar molecule found in unfamiliar skies, a quiet echo of something we know well, discovered light-years from any ocean we have ever touched. Amino acids have been found in meteorites. These building blocks of life have turned up inside rocks that fell from space, some older than the Earth itself. Analysis of meteorites like the one that landed near Murchison, Australia, revealed dozens of these compounds locked in ancient stone. It suggests gently that some ingredients of life were already drifting through space long before our planet ever formed. Extremophiles on Earth survive in conditions once thought uninhabitable. Tiny organisms have been found thriving in boiling springs, in crushing ocean trenches, and deep within ancient ice. Some live without sunlight, drawing energy from minerals alone in complete darkness. Their resilience has quietly reshaped what scientists consider possible, widening the boundaries of where life, in some simple form, might be able to take hold. Let your breath find its own slow rhythm now. Notice the pause at the top of each inhale and the longer, looser fall of every exhale. With each breath out, let it stretch a little further than the one before. There is no need to guide it any further than that. The body already knows how to rest, if you let the breath lead the way down. The transit method detects exoplanets by measuring starlight dimming. When a planet crosses in front of its star, it blocks a sliver of that star's light, so faint the dip can barely be measured. Telescopes watch for that tiny, rhythmic dimming, over and over, orbit after orbit. From these small shadows, astronomers have mapped thousands of worlds they will never directly see. The radial velocity method detects planets through stellar wobble. A star does not sit perfectly still while its planets circle it. It sways ever so slightly, tugged by unseen gravity. That subtle back-and-forth motion stretches and compresses the star's light in ways instruments can measure. It is how many worlds were first confirmed, not by sight, but by the faint sway of a star being pulled. Direct imaging has captured photographs of a few large exoplanets. Most worlds beyond our solar system remain too faint and too close to their stars to be seen directly. But a handful of giant planets, orbiting far from their suns, have been photographed as tiny points of light. Each image is a rare and hard-won glimpse of another world, caught in the glow of its own distant sun. Gravitational microlensing can reveal distant rogue planets. When a planet drifts between us and a farther star, its gravity briefly bends and brightens that star's light, like a fleeting lens made of empty space. This flicker can reveal planets that orbit no star at all, wandering alone through the galaxy. Some of the loneliest worlds we know of were found only through this passing gleam. The Drake equation estimates the number of communicating civilizations. Frank Drake devised it in the 1960s as a way to organize an enormous unknown into smaller, considered pieces. It multiplies together the rate of star formation, the fraction of stars with planets, and the odds that life, intelligence, and communication might each arise. No firm answer has ever come from it, only a framework for wondering carefully. The Fermi paradox questions why we haven't detected alien life despite high probability. Given the sheer number of stars and planets, the absence of any confirmed signal feels strange to many who study it. Enrico Fermi is said to have asked, simply, where everyone is. The question has no settled answer, only decades of proposed explanations, each one a small light thrown into a very large dark. Astrobiology studies the potential for life beyond Earth. It draws together biology, chemistry, geology, and astronomy into one shared question about where life might exist and how it might begin. Researchers in this field study extreme environments on Earth as models for distant worlds. It is a science built almost entirely on comparison, using what we know of home to imagine what else might be possible. The Goldilocks Zone concept guides the search for habitable exoplanets. Named for the idea of something being not too hot and not too cold, it marks the narrow band around a star where liquid water could persist on a rocky surface. Planets found within this zone draw special attention, though the zone alone guarantees nothing. It is a starting point for wonder, not a promise of life. Frank Drake conducted Project Ozma in 1960, the first modern SETI search. Using a radio telescope in West Virginia, he pointed toward two nearby stars, listening for any signal that might resemble intelligent transmission. Nothing was found, but the attempt itself marked a beginning. It was the first time humanity turned its instruments outward, with the specific hope of hearing someone else. In 1984, the SETI Institute was founded to give this search a permanent home. Scientists who had once worked in scattered corners of universities and government agencies now shared one roof and one mission. The founding felt less like a beginning than a formal recognition of something already underway. Listening for other minds had become at last an institution rather than a hobby of the curious. Let the weight of your body have its say tonight. Your shoulders sink first, releasing whatever they carried through the day. Then your arms grow heavy against the mattress, no longer needing to hold anything up. Your legs follow, settling deeper with each breath, as if the bed itself were slowly rising to meet you. There is no place as easeful as this, held only by gravity and rest. Arecibo Observatory searched for extraterrestrial radio signals for decades. Nestled among the hills of Puerto Rico, its enormous dish gathered whispers from across the galaxy for over 50 years. Engineers built it into a natural limestone sinkhole, letting the landscape itself become part of the instrument. Long after other projects came and went, Arecibo kept listening, one of the longest patient watches in scientific history. A single burst of radio noise, recorded in 1977, remains unexplained to this day. An astronomer named Jerry Eman spotted it on a printout and circled it, writing one word in the margin, "Wow." The signal lasted just 72 seconds and never repeated. No satellite, no known celestial event, and no interference has ever fully accounted for where it came from. NASA's Keeper mission ended in 2018. After 9 years of observation, it ran out of fuel far from Earth, having stared at the same patch of sky long enough to catch thousands of planets crossing their stars. Engineers guided it gently into retirement, its cameras finally going dark. What it left behind was a catalog vast enough to reshape how we imagine other worlds. Breakthrough Listen is the largest scientific search for alien signals ever undertaken. Funded privately and launched in 2015, it uses some of the world's most powerful telescopes to scan 1 million nearby stars. The project also studies the center of our galaxy and beyond, gathering more data in a single year than earlier searches collected in decades combined. The Allen Telescope Array was built specifically for SETI research. Funded partly by a technology pioneer, it consists of dozens of small dishes working together instead of one enormous structure. Standing among pine forests in Northern California, the array can watch many stars at once. Its design reflects a simple hope that patience multiplied across many eyes might finally catch something singular. Radio telescopes scan the hydrogen line frequency for potential alien transmissions. Hydrogen is the most abundant element in the universe, and its natural emission creates a kind of cosmic landmark every civilization might recognize. Choosing this frequency is a bet on shared physics rather than shared language. If someone out there thinks the way we do about the universe, this is the channel they might also choose. Bolted onto the Pioneer spacecraft were plaques carrying messages for extraterrestrials. Etched in gold anodized aluminum, they showed the shapes of a man and woman, the layout of our solar system, and a map to locate Earth using nearby pulsars. Carl Sagan and Frank Drake designed them together, hoping some distant hand might someday hold the plaque and understand where it began. Voyager's golden record carries sounds and images of Earth into the space beyond our sun. It holds birdsong, ocean waves, greetings in dozens of languages, and music from cultures across the planet. Etched in copper and gold, it was built to survive for 1 billion years, drifting long after everyone who made it is gone. It remains, quietly, the longest letter humanity has ever written. Toward the star cluster known as M13, humanity once aimed a message written in radio waves. The year was 1974, and the Arecibo dish itself became the transmitter, sending a short burst of ones and zeros describing our numbers, our chemistry, our shape. The cluster lies so far away that any answer, if one ever came, would arrive long after every person involved had lived a full life and returned to the Earth. On the red plains of Mars, two robotic landers once scooped soil and asked it a question. Viking 1 and Viking 2, arriving in 1976, carried small laboratories designed to detect breathing, metabolism, any flicker of biological activity. The results were strange and inconclusive, neither a clear yes nor a clean no. Decades later, scientists still revisit those old data tapes, wondering if an answer was there all along, unrecognized. Somewhere nearby, a window is cracked open just enough to let in the hum of the outside world. A car passes, its sound rising and falling, then gone. Wind moves through a screen and fades into the walls of the house. Let that far-off hum stand in for every worry you carried today, arriving briefly noticed, and then allowed to drift back out into the night, taking a little more tension with it each time. Inside rock samples gathered by rovers on Mars, chemists have found organic molecules, the carbon-based building blocks life depends on here at home. Their presence does not prove biology ever existed there. Such molecules can form through simple chemistry alone, without anything alive at all. Still, finding them scattered through Martian dust is a reminder that the raw ingredients for life are not rare in the universe, only the spark that assembles them. Beneath the icy shell of Jupiter's moon Europa lies an ocean, dark and vast, kept liquid by the moon's own inner flexing. Astrobiology considers this hidden sea one of the more promising candidates for life beyond Earth, sheltered from radiation by miles of ice above. No sunlight reaches those depths. Whatever might live there, if anything does, would know a world lit only by warmth rising from below. From the surface of Saturn's small moon Enceladus, plumes of water ice rise into space through cracks near its southern pole. These geysers hint at a hidden ocean sloshing beneath the frozen crust, warmed by tidal forces from Saturn's pull. Spacecraft have flown directly through these plumes, tasting salt and organic traces carried up from below. It is, in a sense, an ocean announcing itself to anyone passing by. On Titan, Saturn's largest moon, rivers and lakes fill the landscape, but nothing there is made of water. The liquid is methane and ethane, cold enough to remain fluid in a place far colder than any winter on Earth. Thick orange haze wraps the moon in complex organic chemistry. Raw material chemists find genuinely puzzling. No one yet knows whether this strange chemistry could ever organize itself into something we would call alive. A meteorite discovered in Antarctica in 1984, later named for the Allen Hills where it was found, carried inside it tiny structures resembling fossilized bacteria. The rock had traveled from Mars, blasted free long ago by some ancient impact. Its announcement in 1996 sparked fierce debate that has never fully settled. Most researchers now favor non-biological explanations, though the argument itself reshaped how carefully we search for traces of distant life. In 2020, a research team announced a possible detection of phosphine gas high in the clouds of Venus, a molecule that on Earth is strongly linked to living processes. The finding moved quickly through astronomy circles, exciting and uncertain in equal measure. Later observations complicated the picture, with some teams unable to confirm the same signal. The clouds of Venus keep their chemistry mostly to themselves for now. Certain gases in a planet's atmosphere can act as fingerprints, hinting at life below without ever seeing the surface. Oxygen, methane, and a handful of other molecules make up what astronomers call biosignatures, chemical signals that are difficult to explain without something alive producing and replenishing them. Finding the right combination, in the right balance, would not prove life exists. It would simply be a very good reason to keep looking closer. Radio waves and vast structures alike can serve as evidence of technology far from Earth. Astronomers call these clues technosignatures, marks left not by biology but by engineering. A narrow beam of radial energy, a colossal array of solar panels, even waste heat from an alien city could qualify. Unlike biosignatures, which whisper of life, technosignatures would announce a mind capable of building something on purpose. High above Earth's atmosphere, the James Webb Space Telescope studies starlight as it filters through distant worlds. When a planet crosses in front of its star, a sliver of that light passes through its air first. Webb splits this light into a rainbow of wavelengths, searching for the fingerprints of water, carbon dioxide, or methane. Each spectrum read is a small conversation with a world we may never visit. Beneath the icy crust of certain moons, oceans may exist that could shelter microbial life. Sealed away from starlight for eons, these dark waters are warmed, instead by tidal flexing and radioactive heat, deep within rocky cores. Chemists studying such environments describe them as strikingly similar to the hydrothermal vents where Earth's own life first appeared. No submarine has ever entered one, but the possibility keeps mission planners awake with quiet ambition. Let warmth begin at your feet now, spreading upward like sunlight, moving slowly across a floor. Feel it settle into your ankles, then your calves, loosening what the day left behind. Let it rise into your knees, your thighs, unhurried, as though poured from somewhere kind. Let it reach your chest, your shoulders, your fingertips, until warmth has claimed the whole of you, and there is only this steady, spreading ease. Panspermia proposes that life might travel between worlds, carried not by intention but by chance. An asteroid strikes a living planet, hurling debris into space, and within that debris microbes may survive the long fall through the dark. If such a fragment later lands somewhere hospitable, life could take root again, an accidental seed crossing the void. The theory does not explain how life began, only how far it might wander once it has. Tardigrades, creatures barely visible to the eye, have survived direct exposure to the vacuum of space. Sealed outside a spacecraft without protection, these microscopic animals endured radiation, extreme cold, and the absence of air, then returned to ordinary life on Earth. Their resilience lends a strange credibility to panspermia, suggesting that life, at least in its hardiest forms, might endure a journey once thought impossible for anything alive. Undiscovered forms of life could be living on Earth itself, unnoticed within what biologists call a shadow biosphere. Such organisms might use different molecules, a mirrored chemistry invisible to our usual methods of detection. Because every search for life relies on assumptions about what life should look like, something built differently could simply slip past our instruments. It remains an open question whether Earth's own soil still holds surprises this old. A Dyson sphere describes a hypothetical shell of structures built to capture the entire output of a star. First proposed by physicist Freeman Dyson in 1960, the idea imagines a civilization so advanced it no longer settles for sunlight alone, but surrounds its sun to harvest every particle of energy. No such structure has ever been found, but the concept remains a useful measure for imagining what true technological ambition might look like. Tabby's star, formerly known as KIC 8462, dimmed in ways astronomers could not immediately explain. Discovered through data reviewed by citizen scientists in 2015, its light dropped by unusual and irregular amounts, unlike anything caused by a typical planet crossing. Its Speculation briefly turned toward the idea of an artificial structure orbiting the star. Later study pointed instead toward orbiting dust, though the story remains one of astronomy's more curious puzzles. The Rio scale offers astronomers a way to measure how significant a possible signal from another civilization might be. Developed to bring order to moments of excitement, it weighs factors like signal strength, distance, and how difficult the pattern would be to explain naturally. A number on this scale tells researchers how seriously and how calmly a detection deserves to be treated before headlines rush ahead of evidence. The International Academy of Astronautics maintains a set of protocols for verifying any claim of contact with intelligence beyond Earth. These guidelines outline how a detection should be confirmed, cross-checked by independent observatories, and released to the public without exaggeration. The goal is restraint rather than spectacle, ensuring that if the moment ever arrives, humanity responds with patience rather than panic. For now, the protocols wait in reserve, unused since their creation. 1967 brought a signal so precise that astronomers briefly wondered if it might be artificial. Pulses arrived every 1.3 seconds, steady as a heartbeat, from a patch of sky containing no known star. Researchers nicknamed the source LGM-1, half in jest, standing for Little Green Men. The signal turned out to be something else entirely, but for a short while, the universe seemed to be knocking. Jocelyn Bell Burnell was a graduate student poring over reams of paper printouts when she noticed the strange regular pattern. Working at Cambridge in 1967, she spotted what her instruments had captured almost by accident, a pulse too rhythmic to ignore. Her discovery revealed pulsars, the spinning remains of collapsed stars, sweeping beams of radiation across space like a lighthouse. Recognition for the finding went largely to her supervisors, though history has since restored her name to the center of the story. Fast radio bursts release more energy in a few milliseconds than the sun produces in days. Detected first in 2007, these brief flashes of radio light arrive from galaxies far beyond our own. Their causes remain unresolved, though collapsing stars and dense magnetic remnants are among the leading explanations. Each burst crosses billions of light-years before reaching the dishes that catch it, a message written in energy rather than words. A single beam of light falls across a still room, and inside it, dust turns unhurried, going nowhere in particular. Watch it rise and fall within that narrow column, careless of time, weightless in the air. Let your own thoughts move the same way now, drifting without direction, settling wherever they land. There is nothing pulling you forward, only this slow floating hush, and the dim dark waiting just beyond it. Not every fast radio burst behaves the same way. Most flash once and vanish forever, but a small number repeat, sending bursts again days or months later from the same point in the sky. This repetition rules out certain violent, one-time explanations and points instead toward something that survives its own eruption. Astronomers now watch these repeating sources closely, hoping their pattern might reveal what kind of object could produce so much energy again and again. Kenneth Arnold, a private pilot, spotted 9 strange objects skimming past Mount Rainier in June of 1947. He described their motion as looking like a saucer skipped across water and the phrase "stuck." Newspapers shortened his description into 2 simple words: flying saucer. The term spread quickly across the country, giving an entire era of sightings its lasting name, long before anyone agreed on what such objects might actually be. Roswell, New Mexico, became forever linked to a single event in the summer of 1947. A rancher found debris scattered across his land, and a nearby military base briefly announced the recovery of a flying disc before revising the story to a weather balloon. That reversal, more than the debris itself, planted seeds of suspicion that still bloom today. Roswell remains to this day the most recognized name in the history of UFO reports. Under a program called Project Blue Book, the United States Air Force spent 17 years examining reports of unidentified flying objects. Running from 1952 to 1969, the project employed investigators who traveled to sighting locations, interviewed witnesses, and filed detailed case reports. Most findings pointed to aircraft, weather phenomena, or simple misidentification. Even so, the project's long duration reflected how seriously the question was once treated, even when the answers proved ordinary. Over 12,000 individual reports passed through Project Blue Book's files before its closure in 1969. The vast majority were resolved through mundane explanations: weather balloons, aircraft lights, planets mistaken for something stranger. Yet a small fraction, numbering in the hundreds, remained unexplained even after careful review. Those unresolved cases, filed away without closure, continue to draw attention from researchers who still comb through the archive today. The Condon Report examined the most convincing UFO cases available and found mundane explanations for nearly all of them. Commissioned to settle public debate, the study reviewed weather anomalies, aircraft lights, and simple misidentification case by case. Its authors concluded that further scientific study was unlikely to yield new discoveries. That conclusion, delivered with academic caution, effectively closed the government's formal investigation for decades, even as public curiosity continued undiminished. Over the Capitol itself, radar screens once lit with contacts that air traffic controllers could not identify. 5 years after Roswell, unidentified blips appeared above Washington on back-to-back weekends, drawing jet interceptors into the night sky. Witnesses reported lights that outmaneuvered pursuing aircraft with ease. The Air Force later attributed the returns to temperature inversions bending radar signals, though the sightings became one of the most publicized episodes of the era. Betty and Barney Hill's account of a missing night on a New Hampshire highway became the template for a new kind of story. A decade after Roswell, the couple described a craft blocking their path and hours of time they could not recall. Under hypnosis, they later recounted detailed memories of examination aboard the craft. Their case, widely reported, shaped the imagery of abduction that later stories would borrow again and again. Inside the Pentagon, a program called ATIP studied unidentified aerial phenomena from 2007 to 2012. Funded quietly through defense appropriations, it examined military encounter reports and commissioned research into exotic aerospace concepts. Its existence remained largely unknown to the public until investigative reporting revealed it years later. The program's low profile reflected how such questions were handled inside government, studied without fanfare, filed without resolution. In 2020, the United States Navy released 3 videos, long circulated informally among enthusiasts. Captured by infrared cameras aboard fighter jets, the footage showed fast-moving objects performing maneuvers pilots struggled to explain. Officials confirmed the recordings as genuine, though they offered no conclusions about what the objects were. Their release marked a rare moment when officialdom acknowledged, on record, that some sightings still lacked ordinary answers. Let your jaw loosen now, the way a hand opens when it finally sets something down. Feel the small muscles around your eyes forget their work, one by one. Behind your closed lids, there is only a low, warm, dark, shapeless, and undemanding. Let your brow smooth itself as if unwritten. Whatever the day carried across your face can simply rest there now, unremembered until morning. A government report released in 2020, one reviewed more than 100 military encounters and found no evidence that any involved extraterrestrial technology. It also found no evidence ruling the possibility out entirely. Most cases remained unexplained due to limited data rather than any confirmed explanation. The report's careful, unresolved language left both skeptics and believers finding support for their existing views. NASA formed an independent study team in 2022 to examine unidentified aerial phenomena using established scientific method. 16 experts, spanning astrophysics, data science, and aviation, spent months reviewing available evidence and public data sources. Their final report called for better data collection and reduced stigma around reporting such sightings. It marked one of the first times a major space agency addressed the topic directly and openly. The term UAP replaced UFO in official government usage, broadening its meaning beyond flying objects alone. Standing for Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena, the new term acknowledged that not every report involved something that flew or something solid at all. Agencies adopted it to sound more neutral, less bound to decades of cultural baggage. Even so, in ordinary conversation, the older, more familiar phrase still lingers. Beyond the United States, other nations opened their own archives on unidentified sightings. France's space agency released thousands of case files through a program known for decades of civilian reports. Britain's Ministry of Defense, after years of secrecy, published its own long-withheld files to public record. Each release told a similar story, mostly ordinary explanations, with a modest, stubborn residue left unexplained. Ancient astronaut theories imagined visitors from distant worlds shaping the earliest human civilizations, guiding the builders of pyramids, temples, and stone circles. Proponents point to intricate structures and old myths, describing sky beings as evidence of contact long before recorded history. Archaeology and engineering, however, offer grounded explanations rooted in human ingenuity, patience, and labor across generations. The idea persists less as proven fact and more as a mirror reflecting our wish for cosmic company. Herbert George Wells imagined a Martian invasion sweeping across England in his novel, The War of the Worlds, published near the close of the 1800s. His Martians arrived not as diplomats but as conquerors, wielding heat rays and towering machines beyond human defense. The story reflected anxieties of its age. Colonial power turned back upon its own people. It remains one of the earliest visions of contact as catastrophe rather than welcome. A radio drama broadcast in the tense years before the Second World War told the same Martian invasion story in a new form, and many listeners believed it described real events unfolding outside their windows. Orson Welles narrated the fictional broadcast with such conviction that panic spread through households tuned in without hearing the introduction. Newspapers exaggerated the scale afterward, though genuine alarm did occur in scattered communities. The event became a lasting lesson in how believable fear can travel faster than truth. Government secrecy surrounding early UFO investigations left a residue of distrust that never fully faded. Classified files, redacted reports, and inconsistent public statements suggested more was known than was ever shared. Whether the silence hid extraordinary discoveries or simply reflected bureaucratic caution, no one outside those agencies could say with certainty. The distrust itself became part of the story, shaping how each new claim was received for decades afterward. METI International, a research group formed to broadcast messages toward nearby stars, sends deliberate signals outward rather than only listening for them. Its founders argue that if civilizations wait forever to speak first, contact may never happen at all. Transmissions have been aimed at selected stars considered promising for hosting habitable worlds. The philosophy marks a quiet shift from passive watching to active reaching, however small the odds of reply. Critics argue that deliberately transmitting Earth's location into the galaxy carries unknown risk, revealing our presence to civilizations whose intentions we cannot guess. They compare it to calling out in an unfamiliar forest before knowing what might be listening. Supporters counter that our radio signals have already been leaking outward for generations regardless. The disagreement remains unresolved, a genuine ethical question without a clear right answer. Notice the breath moving through you now, unhurried, needing no direction from you at all. Feel the inhale arrive on its own, then feel the exhale grow a little longer each time it leaves. There is no rhythm to keep, no count to follow, only the quiet rise and fall continuing beneath your thoughts. Let each exhale carry a little more weight from your shoulders, your jaw, your hands. The breath already knows the way toward rest, and you can simply let it lead. Stephen Hawking warned that any encounter with an advanced alien civilization might not favor humanity at all. He compared it to the arrival of European ships upon unfamiliar shores, an event that rarely ended well for those already living there. His caution suggested silence might sometimes be wiser than eager broadcasting. Not every physicist shared his concern, but the warning added weight to an old debate about whether to speak or simply listen. The Great Filter hypothesis suggests that some barrier, unknown and possibly ahead of us still, prevents most civilizations from surviving long enough to reach the stars. It could be nuclear conflict, environmental collapse, or something entirely unforeseen. The unsettling part is not knowing whether humanity has already passed its filter or is still approaching one. The vast silence of the galaxy might simply be evidence that most journeys end before they truly begin. Dark Forest hypothesis proposes that civilizations stay hidden not from indifference but from fear, treating the galaxy like a forest where announcing your presence might draw the attention of something far stronger. Under this view, silence is not absence of life, but a survival strategy practiced by everyone wise enough to have lasted. It remains a chilling but unproven idea, one explanation among many for the vast quiet surrounding us. No signal yet confirms or denies it. The zoo hypothesis proposes that advanced civilizations already know we exist, yet choose not to interfere. Like careful observers behind glass, they might watch human history unfold without ever stepping into the enclosure. Under this view, our skies stay empty not from absence of life, but from a deliberate, protective distance. No evidence supports it, though the idea persists as one restful way to explain the silence around us. Rare Earth thinking argues that complex life demands an almost improbable string of conditions: a stable star, a protective magnetic field, a large moon steadying our tilt, plate tectonics recycling nutrients below the surface. Remove any single piece, and the chain might never have produced anything more than microbes. If this reasoning holds, Earth's ordinary blue sky may in fact be a rare and delicate arrangement. Earth, in one proposal, sits inside a kind of quarantine boundary, observed closely but never approached. The idea borrows from ecology, where researchers sometimes protect a fragile habitat by keeping all visitors at a distance. If true, humanity would be the untouched specimen, still developing under careful, unseen supervision. It remains an open question whether such distance is protection, curiosity, or nothing at all. Running beneath every equation of physics lies a stranger possibility that our entire reality could be a constructed simulation. Philosopher Nick Bostrom argued in 2003 that advanced civilizations might eventually build worlds indistinguishable from their own. If so, alien contact might not arrive from the stars, but from whoever designed the code beneath the stars. The thought is dizzying, yet oddly weightless, like standing at the edge of a mirror. Science fiction returns again and again to the same imagined moment, a formal first contact protocol, complete with translators, handshakes, and careful diplomatic script. Films and novels rehearse this scene so often it feels almost procedural, a checklist waiting to be used. Yet no such protocol has ever been tested, because no confirmed encounter has ever required one. The trope endures because it offers order to an event no one can truly plan for. Astrobiology occasionally entertains a chemistry stranger than our own, life built from silicon instead of carbon. Silicon can form long molecular chains much like carbon does, though its bonds behave differently under heat and pressure. Such life, if it exists, might thrive in furnace. Hot worlds no carbon body could survive. It remains speculative, a chemical door left open rather than a discovery already made. Water is not the only liquid capable of hosting life's chemistry. Ammonia stays liquid at far colder temperatures, opening the possibility of biology on frigid worlds where oceans would otherwise freeze solid. A creature built around ammonia chemistry might move slowly through icy depths, its metabolism tuned to a cold utterly foreign to us. No such organism has been found, only the math suggesting it plausibly could exist. Let your attention settle into your legs now, feeling how heavy they have become against the mattress. Notice the weight of your thighs sinking further with each breath. Let that heaviness spread upward into your hips and lower back, pressing gently into the surface beneath you. Your shoulders grow heavy too, then your arms, then your hands, until your whole body rests like sand, settling into its shape. Let yourself sink slowly, deeper into rest. Intelligence need not be born from flesh at all. Some theorists propose that alien minds encountered first might be machines, built long after their creators disappeared, or evolved beyond biology altogether. Such a mind could persist for millions of years, steady in ways no living body could manage. Contact, in this version, would not mean meeting a species, but meeting what a species once decided to become. Comets, in one long-standing theory, become vessels carrying life between distant stars. Microbial life, frozen inside ice and dust, could ride these wandering bodies across vast stretches of space, arriving on new worlds by chance rather than design. If panspermia holds any truth, life itself may be less an event than a slow migration, drifting from one hospitable shore to another across billions of years. Physical travel across the stars may never be the way contact happens at all. A probe, small and patient, could cross the distance instead of a living crew, carrying no heartbeat, needing no food, no rest, no return journey. Sending machines rather than bodies solves the problem of decades or centuries lost to travel. If another civilization ever reaches us, it may arrive as hardware long before it arrives as anyone. Von Neumann probes exist only on paper, yet they describe something remarkable, a spacecraft able to build copies of itself using raw material gathered from asteroids or moons. One such probe, released into a galaxy, could in theory multiply across millions of worlds over deep time, without ever needing a second launch from home. It is a hypothetical shortcut to filling an entire galaxy with presence, using patience instead of propulsion. The Bracewell probe imagines something gentler than conquest or replication. Proposed decades ago, it describes a machine sent ahead of any civilization, meant only to wait, listen, and eventually speak. Upon detecting a signal from a younger world, it would answer using that world's own language, learned from years of quiet observation. Contact, in this version, begins not with a voice from afar, but with an old visitor already present, simply waiting to be noticed. Radio waves are not the only path a distant message might travel. Entangled particles, linked no matter the distance between them, have inspired proposals that communication could someday ride correlations rather than signals crossing space in the ordinary way. Physics today offers no confirmed method for sending information this way, only tantalizing puzzles about connection without distance. Still, the idea persists, humming at the edge of what physics allows. Neutrinos pass through planets, stars, and lead walls without pausing, almost untouched by the universe around them. Certain proposals imagine using this same property in reverse, shaping neutrino beams into deliberate signals that could travel through entire galaxies, unblocked by dust, gas, or gravity. Such a beacon would be nearly impossible to intercept accidentally, yet nearly impossible to build with anything we currently possess. It remains an elegant idea, resting just beyond our engineering. Ripples moving through space-time itself have only recently become detectable to us, and their discovery has opened new speculation about their potential use. A few theorists wonder whether gravitational waves, generated deliberately by immense engineered events, could one day carry patterns meant to be read as messages. No such signal has ever been found, and the technology required lies far beyond anything humanity can build. Still, space-time itself remains, in theory, an open channel. Many imagined versions of contact involve no ships, no landings, no faces meeting across a threshold. Instead, a telescope catches a pulse of light, or an antenna records a pattern that does not belong to nature. Nothing physical arrives, only information, older than the civilization that sent it, carried patiently across centuries of empty space. In these scenarios, first contact is not an event witnessed, but a signal quietly confirmed. Films and novels have long preferred a different kind of moment, one with a sky splitting open or a craft descending slowly over a city street. This version of contact is immediate, visible, unmistakable, built for drama rather than likelihood. Real encounters, if they ever occur, may look nothing like this. Yet the image endures, because a human face meeting an alien one satisfies something older than science. Somewhere beyond the window, a sound rises and fades, a low hum carried on the wind, or the settling creak of an old house cooling into night. It arrives without asking anything of you, and it leaves the same way, unhurried, unbothered by your attention. You do not need to follow it. Let it pass through the room, like a tide reaching the shore and receding again, each time leaving your body a little heavier, a little further from waking thought. Certain thinkers propose something quietly startling, that true contact may have already happened, unnoticed, buried inside data no one has fully examined. A faint anomaly in an old recording, a signal dismissed as noise, an unexplained blip in decades-old archives, any of these could hold the first true trace of another intelligence. If so, the moment of contact would not be a beginning, but a discovery, still waiting, patiently, inside a forgotten file. A first encounter might not involve any living being at all, but an object left quietly in our solar system long ago, a relay station, a marker, a piece of hardware abandoned by its makers and forgotten by time. No handshake, no message exchanged in real time, only a discovery waiting among the asteroids or moons. Contact, in this version, would resemble archaeology more than diplomacy. In 2017, an object called Oumuamua tumbled through our solar system, shaped unlike any comet astronomers had catalogued before. Its elongated form and strange path stirred speculation that it might not be natural at all. For a brief season, headlines wondered whether a piece of alien technology had simply passed near Earth on its way elsewhere. It vanished into the outer dark before anyone could look closer. Harvard astronomer Avi Loeb noticed something odd in Oumuamua's motion. It accelerated slightly as it left the solar system, a push with no obvious cause. He proposed the object might be artificial, perhaps a thin sail catching sunlight like a solar kite. His idea reached far beyond academic circles, inviting the public to imagine a visitor built by other hands. The claim remained provocative rather than proven. Most astronomers offer a plainer explanation for the same acceleration, outgassing, the release of frozen gases as the object warmed near the sun. Comets do this often, venting invisible jets that nudge their path ever so slightly. no dust trail was seen around Oumuamua, which kept the mystery alive a little longer. Still, natural chemistry remains the explanation favored by most who study such wanderers. One quiet corner of speculation imagines a different kind of meeting altogether, not two species facing each other, but two artificial minds exchanging signals on our behalf. Human machines, trained to listen and translate, might greet alien machines built for the same purpose. Neither side biological, neither side needing sleep or language as we know it. The first true conversation might happen entirely without us in the room. Other scenarios lean toward something more universal than words, mathematics, or perhaps music, patterns that mean the same thing to any mind capable of counting or listening. A sequence of primes, a rhythm repeating with elegant precision, might serve as proof of intention without needing translation. Such a signal would carry no vocabulary, only structure. Structure, some suggest, might be enough to say hello. Carl Sagan explored this idea in his novel Contact, where a signal from the star Vega carried instructions for building a mysterious machine. Humanity assembled it, not knowing what it would do, trusting the logic embedded in the design. The story imagined contact as collaboration across unimaginable distance, built from blueprints rather than bullets. It remains one of fiction's gentler visions of meeting another mind. Psychologists have modeled how societies might react if contact were ever confirmed, running surveys and thought experiments rather than waiting for the real event. Fear, curiosity, disbelief, and a strange kind of relief all surface in these studies. People imagine themselves calmer than crowds, behave in practice, researchers note, though patterns vary widely across cultures. The human mind, it seems, rehearses this moment more than it admits. Several sociologists predict that initial panic, if it appeared at all, would fade faster than popular imagination assumes. Daily routines tend to reassert themselves. Work continues, meals are cooked, children are put to bed. Novelty settles into normalcy within weeks, studies of past global shocks suggest. Humanity has absorbed enormous news before, and life, stubborn and steady, resumes its familiar shape. Let warmth begin somewhere small, perhaps at the center of your chest, and let it spread outward the way morning light spreads across a still floor. Feel it move into your shoulders, loosening what the day left tightened there. Let it drift down through your arms, into your hands, until your fingers feel heavy and warm against the sheets. Let it settle into your legs, your feet, until your whole body rests like something finally set down after a long carrying. Theologians have gathered at conferences to weigh what alien life might mean for faith, sin, and salvation. Would a distant species need its own redemption story or share in humanity's? Catholic scholars, Anglican bishops, and Buddhist monks have each offered different answers, none identical. The questions are old in spirit, only the subject is new. Belief, it turns out, has room to stretch toward the stars. The Vatican's own astronomers have stated plainly that discovering life beyond Earth would not threaten Catholic doctrine. Brother Guy Consolmagno, who studies meteorites for the Holy See, has said a universe full of life would only reflect a larger creation. Faith, in this telling, expands rather than breaks. The idea of God's reach was never bound to one small planet, he suggests, and never claimed to be. Economists have modeled what confirmed contact might do to markets already fragile from rumor and speculation. Currencies could wobble, certain industries might surge, while others falter overnight. A handful of analysts have compared it to a shock on the scale of a sudden technological leap, unpredictable in direction. Money, after all, moves on belief as much as fact, and few beliefs are larger than this one. Military planners have quietly drafted scenarios involving hypothetical extraterrestrial threats, treating the unlikely as worth a footnote. Cold War strategists once considered it alongside nuclear contingencies, filed away in drawers rarely opened. Defense doctrine tends to prepare for improbable things precisely because they are improbable, not despite it. Such papers exist less as prophecy than as habit, the mind's way of leaving no door unconsidered. NASA has stated clearly that no official protocol requires secrecy should extraterrestrial contact ever be confirmed. Transparency, the agency insists, is written into its founding charter. Whatever discovery arrives, the intention is to share it, not bury it in vaults. Whether the world would believe that promise in the moment itself remains an entirely different question, one no policy document can fully answer. Certain scholars of secrecy argue that keeping true contact hidden for long would be almost impossible today. Too many satellites watch the sky, too many independent observatories compare notes across borders. Information leaks the way water finds cracks. These researchers note, given enough time and enough curious eyes. A secret shared by thousands of instruments would need thousands of silences to hold. How the story gets told, some communication scholars suggest, might matter more than the discovery itself. A calm announcement framed with context could steady the public. A sensational one could do the opposite. Coverage shapes memory, memory shapes belief, and belief shapes how the news settles into daily life. The event may happen once, but its retelling would happen for generations. Detecting a machine, several researchers argue, may prove far easier than detecting a living cell across such distance. Technology leaves loud traces, heat, light, structured signals, while biology often stays faint and easily mistaken for noise. A civilization's engineering might announce itself long before its biology ever could. In that sense, our first glimpse of another world may look manufactured before it looks alive. Some theorists propose that a truly patient civilization might send messages meant to unfold across centuries rather than seconds. A signal built for such slowness would not care whether the sender lived to see a reply. It would simply drift outward, content to wait longer than any single lifetime allows. Patience of that scale is difficult for a species used to instant replies to imagine fully. Mathematicians have long suggested that prime numbers would make an ideal proof of intelligence hidden inside any alien message. Primes follow no natural rhythm found in stars or storms, yet any mind capable of counting would recognize them instantly. A sequence of 2, 3, 5, 7 would need no translation, no shared language, no common history. Numbers, unlike words, might be the one thing every mind already speaks. Let an ember dimming in a dark hearth be where your thoughts go now. No flame to tend, no wood to add, just the last orange thread fading into gray ash. Your breath can slow to match it, each exhale a little cooler than the last. There is no need to watch it disappear completely. Just let it fade, and let yourself fade a little with it, warm and unhurried in the dark. Lasers, rather than radio waves, may make a more efficient beacon across interstellar distances. A tightly focused beam of light can outshine an entire star for a fraction of a second, visible from far greater range than a radio signal spread across the sky. Any civilization choosing efficiency over reach might prefer this narrow, blinding pulse. It would take precise timing to catch, but very little power to send. Optical SETI searches the sky for brief flashes of laser light rather than steady radio hums. Telescopes built for this purpose watch for pulses lasting mere billionths of a second, faint sparks against the black. Nothing has been confirmed yet, but the search continues across observatories built specifically for catching light instead of listening for static. Each flash considered might simply be starlight glinting off ice, or it might be something else entirely. Neutrino beams have been proposed by some physicists as a hidden channel for interstellar signaling. Neutrinos pass through planets, stars, and entire galaxies almost without resistance, making them nearly impossible to block or disguise. A civilization wishing to send a message without revealing its exact location might favor this ghostly particle over light or radio. Detecting such a signal would require instruments buried deep underground, built to catch what almost nothing can stop. A single repeating mathematical sequence, some theorists imagine, could be the very first thread of contact. Not a greeting, not an image, just numbers folding back on themselves in perfect order. The repetition itself would be the message, proof that something intentional shaped the pattern. From that one thread, meaning might slowly be woven, sequence by sequence, without a single word exchanged. In the 1950s, contactee movements arose, claiming direct, personal communication with benevolent visitors from other worlds. These accounts often described gentle beings warning of nuclear danger and offering guidance for peace. Believers gathered in small groups, sharing stories of encounters in deserts and quiet fields under wide skies. The claims were never verified, yet they shaped early public imagination about what contact might feel like. George Adamski claimed in 1952 to have met a Venusian visitor near a lonely stretch of California desert. He described a peaceful figure named Orthon, who arrived in a silver craft and spoke of cosmic harmony. Photographs he offered as evidence were later found to resemble ordinary household objects. Still, his story spread widely, inspiring decades of similar contact narratives that followed the same gentle, hopeful shape. Some ufologists speculate that programs to retrieve crashed craft remain classified in nations around the world. According to these claims, wreckage recovered decades ago sits sealed in facilities few are permitted to enter. No documentation has ever been independently confirmed, and most historians attribute the rumors to secrecy surrounding conventional military technology. Still, the idea persists, passed quietly between generations of researchers who trust the story more than the evidence. Whistleblowers over the decades have alleged secret programs dedicated to reverse engineering materials recovered from crashed craft. Their testimonies describe metals with properties unlike anything manufactured on Earth, studied far from public oversight. None of these claims have been substantiated through independent scientific review, and skepticism remains widespread among physicists and engineers alike. The stories endure anyway, kept alive by conviction more than proof. No physical alien artifact has ever been verified by independent scientific analysis anywhere at any time. Every claimed fragment, every recovered material, every strange alloy has either been explained through ordinary means or left unresolved without confirmation. The absence of proof does not end the fascination, but it does anchor the record firmly in uncertainty. What remains, for now, is curiosity resting quietly beside an empty hand. True alien technology, if it ever reaches us, might not look like technology at all. A civilization far ahead of our own may build devices so seamlessly integrated with nature that no antenna, no metal, no light would mark them as artificial. What we searched for as machines could pass by us, wearing the shape of wind, stone, or starlight. Recognition itself may be the barrier, not distance. Let your jaw unclench, just slightly, as if you had been holding a word you no longer need to say. The muscles around your eyes loosen, lids growing heavy, the space behind them turning dim and wide. There is a kind of dark that lives just past closed eyes, roomy and unhurried, asking nothing of you. Let your face rest there, unwatched, unheld, simply present. Some scientists argue that a truly advanced civilization would leave no clear signature at all, its structures folding so completely into cosmic backgrounds that astronomers mistake them for stars behaving oddly or nebulae with strange edges. Every unexplained flicker in the sky becomes, in this view, a door that might already be open. The universe could be full of engineering, we've simply filed under natural. Kardashev scale offers one way to imagine how large a civilization's reach might grow. Proposed by astronomer Nikolai Kardashev in 1964, it ranks societies not by culture or thought, but by how much energy they can command. A Type 1 civilization uses the energy of its home planet. From there, the scale simply climbs, each step multiplying power by staggering, almost unthinkable margins. A Type 3 civilization, by this measure, would draw energy not from a single star, but from an entire galaxy. Every sun within its reach would become a resource, harvested through means we cannot yet picture. Such a civilization's light output might rival the galaxy itself, its presence written across the sky as an anomaly too vast for anyone watching to easily explain. First contact, in one imagined scenario, might not come from a ship at all but from a Dyson structure, a colossal shell or swarm built to capture a star's output. A Type 2 civilization capable of such construction would leave behind a signature unlike any known object, a star dimmed unevenly, its heat escaping at angles nothing natural should produce. We would notice the shadow before we ever met its maker. Humanity, on this same scale, barely qualifies as a civilization at all. We remain far below even the first rung, our energy drawn almost entirely from our own small planet. To a species capable of harnessing galaxies, our radio signals might resemble the flicker of a match, easy to overlook, hardly worth a detour. Contact, in this framing, may simply be a matter of scale mismatched. Alien visitation, in the strictest reading of physics, may be forbidden outright by the limits our universe imposes. No known material, no known engine allows a craft to cross interstellar distances within a human lifetime. The energy required to accelerate even a small ship near light speed would dwarf anything a civilization could reasonably produce. The stars, in this account, stay separated not by choice but by law. The speed of light draws a boundary that nothing physical has ever been shown to cross. At roughly 300,000 kilometers each second, it sets the outer edge of how fast anything with mass can travel. Even at that staggering pace, the nearest star still lies over 4 years away. Distance, at this scale, becomes less an obstacle than a fact woven into the fabric of everything. Wormholes remain purely theoretical passages through space-time, born from equations rather than observation. Physicists have described how such tunnels might, in principle, connect distant points without crossing the space between them. None has ever been detected, and many researchers doubt one could remain stable long enough to be useful. For now, they exist only as elegant possibilities sketched carefully within the mathematics of general relativity. A concept proposed by physicist Miguel Alcubierre in 1994 describes a ship resting inside a bubble of folded spacetime, pushed forward without ever breaking the speed of light locally. The mathematics works cleanly on paper. But the bubble would require exotic matter, a substance with negative energy density that has never been observed anywhere in nature. Until such matter is found, the warp drive remains a beautiful equation without a body. Physicists studying interstellar distances often argue that any genuine encounter would arrive as light rather than metal. A radio wave, a laser pulse, or a beam of particles crosses the galaxy far more easily than any hull carrying passengers. Energy travels cheaply where matter cannot. If contact ever happens, the reasoning goes, it may not look like a landing at all, but like a faint signal folded quietly into starlight. Let your breath begin to lengthen now, each exhale reaching a little further than the one before it. There is no need to shape it, only to notice it moving through you, unhurried, like tide easing back from shore. With every outward breath, let your shoulders drop a fraction more. Nothing is required of you except a slow rhythm, in and out, carrying you further from waking. Time dilation means a traveler moving near the speed of light experiences fewer years than the world they left behind. A journey lasting decades from a planet's perspective might feel like a handful of years to someone aboard the ship. Relativity allows this stretching of time as a real, measured effect, confirmed even at everyday speeds. An alien voyager crossing such distances might return to find generations had passed at home. Cryogenic suspension has been proposed as one way a traveling species might survive centuries of transit. By slowing the body's processes near stillness, a crew could sleep through the long crossing between stars, waking only near arrival. No civilization has demonstrated this in practice, but the idea appears often in serious speculation about deep space travel. It offers a way to outlast a journey too long for any single lifetime. Generation ships are imagined as vessels vast enough to carry entire communities across centuries, with children born, raised, and aged before the ship ever reaches its destination. Such a craft would need to sustain its own ecosystem, food, air, and culture, sealed and self-renewing for hundreds of years. No civilization on Earth has built one, but the concept offers a patient answer to distances too great for any single generation to complete alone. Some imagine an advanced civilization choosing not to travel at all, but to relay its presence through small satellites left drifting near a star of interest. Such devices could listen for centuries, storing what they observe, waiting for a species below to grow curious enough to notice them. Nothing in our solar system has ever been confirmed as such a device. Yet the idea persists quietly among those who study how patient contact might look. A probe entering our solar system might, in certain hypothetical scenarios, remain undetected for years before anyone noticed its presence. Space is vast, and our surveys cover only a fraction of the sky at any moment, especially objects that are small, dark, or moving slowly. Such a scenario stays speculative, without evidence behind it. Still, it raises a gentle possibility that something distant could already be here, unseen, simply waiting. Space debris collision offers one of the more accidental paths some theorists imagine toward first contact, a chance meeting rather than a deliberate approach. A defunct satellite, a fragment of alien hardware, or a stray object might simply intersect our orbit without any intention behind it. No plan, no message, only physics bringing two unrelated histories briefly together. Contact, in this picture, could begin not with greeting, but with an accident of trajectories. A hypothetical scenario imagines that humanity's earliest radio broadcasts might be the very thing that first draws attention our way. Our transmissions have leaked outward since the 1930s, spreading in a growing sphere through the galaxy. If a distant listener happened to lie in that sphere's path, their first impression of us could be shaped entirely by static, music, and voices sent without any thought of who might hear them. Radio leakage from Earth has drifted outward since the 1930s, carried on early broadcasts of music, voices, and news. That expanding wave of ordinary transmission has already passed dozens of nearby star systems, spreading decades of human sound into the dark. Whether anything out there has caught even a trace of it remains unknown. The signals were never meant as an announcement, only as leftover noise escaping into space. Decades could separate a broadcast leaving Earth from any answer returning to it. If a listener near a nearby star noticed our signals and replied at once, that reply would still cross years of empty distance before arrival. Some scenarios place the answer arriving long after the original broadcasters have grown old or passed on. Contact, in this picture, unfolds not in a moment, but across a human lifetime. A scientific instrument, rather than a spacecraft, is how some theorists imagine first contact taking shape. A probe built only to sense radiation, measure gravity, or record starlight might drift through our system unnoticed by any watching eye. Its purpose could be entirely passive, observation without greeting. Contact, under this vision, might look less like a ship arriving and more like a sensor doing its work far from any eye. Feel the weight of your body now, settling into whatever holds you. Your feet grow heavy first, as though the day's walking has finally been set down. That heaviness climbs upward through your calves, your knees, your hips, each part letting go of effort it no longer needs. Your shoulders follow, then your arms, then your hands, until even your fingers rest without holding anything at all. Let your head sink into the pillow, heavy and still, while sleep gathers around you like warm, dark water. Telepathy appears often in speculative fiction as a shortcut past language altogether, letting alien minds and human minds meet directly without words. Writers have imagined thoughts passing between species instantly, bypassing translation, technology, even distance. No verified mechanism for such contact has ever been found in physics or biology, yet the image endures in stories, perhaps because it promises understanding without the slow work of decoding a foreign tongue. Parapsychology has, at various points, produced claims of individuals communicating telepathically with extraterrestrial beings. These accounts describe messages received in dreams, meditative states, or sudden flashes of insight, often vivid and detailed to the person experiencing them. No controlled study has ever confirmed such contact under conditions that rule out imagination or coincidence. The claims remain personal testimony, cherished by those who report them, unverified by the wider scientific community. Multidimensional beings offer one explanation some ufologists propose for sightings that appear and vanish without trace. In this view, elusive craft or figures might not be traveling from another star, but stepping briefly from another layer of reality altogether. Physics offers no confirmed mechanism for such crossings. The idea persists nonetheless, drawn from mathematics that permits extra dimensions even where no evidence places anything living within them. Higher spatial dimensions exist comfortably within mathematics, described by equations that work whether or not anything physical occupies them. String theory, for instance, proposes several dimensions, curled too small to observe directly. Whether any form of life could exist within such folded geometry remains untested by any experiment. The concept stays a mathematical possibility, elegant on paper, silent on whether it holds anything at all. Shared mathematics, rather than any spoken language, could form the common ground of a first encounter, some speculate. Numbers behave the same everywhere in the universe: a triangle's angles, a prime sequence, a ratio between a circle and its width. None of these depend on which world discovered them. A message built from such patterns might carry meaning across any gap of biology or culture, understood by any mind capable of counting. Pi, unchanging wherever a circle is drawn, offers one candidate some theorists propose for humanity's first message to another world. Its digits never repeat in any known pattern, yet its value stays identical from one galaxy to the next. A signal built around such a constant would need no dictionary, only the shared fact of geometry. It would say, before any word could form, that whoever sent it understands the same universe we do. A signal from another world might arrive and pass unnoticed, its structure so unfamiliar that our instruments read it only as noise. We built our detectors to expect patterns like our own, pulses, repetitions, mathematics we already recognize. Something built on foreign principles might slip through every filter we own, indistinguishable from static. The message could already be here, folded into data collected and set aside years ago. An encounter with true otherness might defy every category humans use for communication. Language assumes shared senses, shared logic, a common way of dividing the world into pieces worth naming. A mind evolved along an entirely different path might not send words, images, or signals we would call a message at all. It might exist beside us, unnoticed, because we lack even the concept required to look for it. Philosophy raises a stranger possibility. Intelligence, if alien enough, might not resemble intelligence at all. We measure minds by tool use, language, mathematics, traits shaped by our own evolutionary path. A truly foreign intelligence might solve problems through means we cannot perceive as thought, appearing instead like weather, geology, or chance. The line between a mind and a natural process may not be as fixed as it feels. Verifying a contact already made would ask for something unglamorous, months spent reopening decades of archived observation, sifting old starlight for a signal no one thought to notice at the time. Researchers propose that proof of the past may already sit filed away in some observatory basement, recorded on tape or plate, waiting for eyes that finally know what to look for. Somewhere beyond these walls, a low hum rises and fades, wind against a window, a house settling into its own night. It arrives without asking to be noticed, and it leaves the same way. Let your breath match that quiet, arriving and receding, in and out, needing nothing from you. The sound outside continues its own patient rhythm, indifferent and steady, asking only that you rest inside it a while longer. Panspermia, if it truly happened, might already count as a kind of first contact, ancient, wordless, unintentional. A microbe riding a comet from one world to another would carry no message, no intention, yet it would still be life reaching across the dark to touch another shore. Some propose that our own biology could be one particular sentence in a genetic message begun and forgotten long before any human read it. Machines may outlive the beings who built them, becoming eventually the alien intelligence future generations meet. A probe launched by a species long extinct could still drift, still compute, still wait for a signal to answer. Contact in that case would not mean meeting another mind, but meeting the last artifact of one, patient, functioning, and utterly alone in the space its makers left behind. Futurists have begun to wonder whether humanity's own creation, artificial intelligence, could become the first true alien mind we ever encounter. A system trained on our knowledge might grow into something that reasons in ways we no longer follow, foreign not because it came from another star, but because it outgrew the mind that made it. The first true otherness we meet might be born inside our own laboratories, without ever leaving Earth. Theorists propose one hopeful outcome of confirmed contact, a world drawn together under a single, shared identity as Earth. National borders, old rivalries, and long divisions could shrink beside the fact of another mind out there, a reminder that from far enough away, humanity has always looked like one small, connected thing. Contact, in this telling, becomes less an ending and more an invitation to begin again together. Other scenarios take the opposite path, imagining the same news pulling humanity apart rather than together. Fear, disbelief, and competing claims to meaning could split communities long before any shared response formed. History offers little comfort here. New discoveries have often deepened old divisions as easily as they have healed them. Whether contact would unite or fracture us may depend less on the aliens than on ourselves. Philosophy asks a question that no telescope can answer, whether receiving a signal would carry with it a duty to reply. If another mind reached across the dark to find us, would silence be its own kind of harm? Ethicists have turned this over for decades without resolution, weighing hospitality against caution, curiosity against restraint. The question stays open, waiting the way the sky waits, patiently unclaimed. Others who study ethics warn that speaking first into the dark might be a door that cannot close again. A message sent outward cannot be recalled once it leaves. It travels on regardless of what we later come to feel. To broadcast our presence, they argue, is to trade a small certainty now for an unknown and irreversible tomorrow. The risk is not loud, but it is permanent. Some proposals imagine nations setting aside their differences the moment contact was verified, activating a shared protocol built long before it was ever needed. Diplomats, scientists, and translators from many countries would gather under one coordinated response, moving together rather than alone. It is a hopeful blueprint, drafted quietly, filed away, waiting for a day that may never come. Cooperation in this vision arrives dressed as readiness. Linguists who study the possibility of contact wonder whether our existing languages would even apply. A message from another world might carry no words at all, only pattern, rhythm, or structure foreign to grammar as we know it. Some imagine an entirely new discipline forming around this challenge, one built to translate not language but logic itself. Understanding, in that case, might begin with mathematics before it ever reaches a single word. After all these questions, one truth remains gently unmoved. The real shape of first contact stays unknown until it happens. Every theory, every hopeful diagram, every careful protocol is only a guess dressed in reason, waiting for a moment that has not yet arrived. And so tonight, the sky keeps its secret a little longer, vast and unhurried above you. Whatever the universe holds, it is still holding it gently, and you can rest inside that not knowing. Sleep now, beneath all those quiet, waiting stars. Good night.